Hi there, my name is Hope, and I'm here to talk to you a little bit about birth control. I know choosing a method of birth control can be overwhelming for some girls because there are so many different options. But informing yourself is the best way to make the right decision for you. Choosing a method of contraception is something that should be decided by the individual or the individual and their partner. The different kinds of birth control range from pills that are taken daily all the way to an implantation that gives you years of protection. The method I'm going to talk about today is a part of the barrier method group, and it's called the contraceptive sponge. Now, if you're thinking, hey, I've never even heard about this before, then you're right where I was not that long ago. The contraceptive sponge, marketed under the brand name Today, is a donut-shaped sponge that a woman inserts herself into her vagina before intercourse, which essentially uses spermicide to kill the sperm before entering into the woman, causing pregnancy. Now again, if you're anything like me, you're thinking, huh? So let me break it down for you. The contraceptive sponge was introduced into the United States for the first time in 1983, and it combines the barrier and spermicidal methods to prevent conception. The sponge works in two ways. First, the sponge is inserted into the vagina before sexual intercourse, and then later removed. How exactly do you use it? The sponge must first be run under clean water until it is thoroughly wet. The water is used as a mechanism to activate the spermicide inside of the sponge, and no further spermicide will be needed. The sponge can then be inserted up to 24 hours before sexual intercourse into the vagina so that it covers the cervix. There's a dimple on one side of the sponge that fits comfortably over the cervix to form a wall to sperm, which prevents it from reaching an egg. The dimple also lowers the chances that the sponge will move out of place during sexual intercourse. The other side of the sponge has a loop which allows for easy removal. One sponge provides some protection against pregnancy for a total of 24 hours, no matter how many times you have sexual intercourse. The sponge should be left in place for 6 hours after sexual intercourse, but not left in the vagina for more than 30 hours, and then thrown away. If the sponge is inserted correctly, you or your partner should not be able to feel it, and if there's any discomfort, it may need adjusting. The sponge does not prevent from any STDs, and the spermicide released from the sponge works by killing or paralyzing sperm that comes into the vagina. With that said, women who are allergic to the spermicide, more specifically called noxinol 9, should not use any barrier methods that contain spermicide. How effective is it? Well, according to the manufacturer of the Today sponge, they report an effectiveness against pregnancy around 89 to 91% when used correctly and consistently. However, when directions are not followed for every act of intercourse, the effectiveness rates drop to 84 to 89%. Additionally, if you are a woman who has had one or more children, the effectiveness drops about 50%. So, let's say out of 100 women who have never given birth before, for typical use, 12 of those women will become pregnant, and for perfect use, 9 women will become pregnant. Out of 100 women who have given birth to one child or more, for typical use, 24 women will get pregnant, and for perfect use, 20 women will get pregnant. Unlike many other birth controls, you don't need a prescription for this method, and they can be found at most pharmacies for around $2 to $4 each. Other things you should be aware of is the very low risk of getting toxic shock syndrome. Additionally, the sponge should not be used during menstruation if you have ever had toxic shock syndrome or if your partner has HIV or AIDS. So let's recap. The advantages of the sponge include that it is controlled by the woman, it can be inserted ahead of time, and it provides 24 hours of protection. Some disadvantages include possible skin irritation due to the spermicide and low effectiveness for women who have previously given birth. So now that you know about this method, I hope your decision is a little bit easier for you.